doing it.
What?
Yeah.
Perfect.
I'm not entirely sure this is going to work. Maybe we do something a little bit more. Guys.
Don't like a table?
You want to go old-fashioned?
Let's just do it the normal way.
Let's go.
Let's try this out.
Holy cow, that was a bad idea.
What do you think? I think this might work a little bit better.
Yeah, I don't think people could have that flow, man. This is a little bit more conventional, right?
We don't want the people watching online to be vomiting while they're watching us.
They don't want to think I'm weird already. They're going to think I'm weird in about 14 minutes.
Right. Welcome. You're listening to the Business Agitator. I'm your host, Chad Carlson, where we break down and mix things up about your business.
Break it down.
Break it down. I'm excited to have my first guest on the show, somebody who I have looked up to for a long time.
Is that because you're short?
It is.
Got it.
I'm average.
What's
so.
average? 5'9"? What is
5'9".
average right now? 5'9"'s average? Cool.
But anyways, this person is an outside-the-box thinker, extremely strange.
That's because I can't fit in the box. I'm too big.
But, and endearing it for some reason, right? And that person happens to be the founder of the Time and Money Network.
Yes.
Mr. Jason Couch.
There's my name. I'm Jason Couch. Hello.
Well, welcome to the show.
Thank you.
I thought it would be fitting to kick this off by having the brain, I don't know, maybe not the brain, but a brain behind the show, hop on and talk to us a little bit about why we're starting the Time and Money Network.
Yes, and how important it is for small businesses and what a value add it's going to be. Now, we're just starting out, but small businesses are in trouble because they don't have the budget necessary to get the real experts.
Tell me a little bit more about that.
So when I start businesses, I always start it the way that I would want to have a product if I was a small business owner, right? If I'm a plumber, electrician, if I'm a hairstylist, if I have 3 chairs and I'm doing everything, I'd want to know, well, what would I want as a product? Well, board of directors are super, super expensive. To have the best CFOs, the best marketing guys, the best tax guys, because most of these small businesses are paying a lot of taxes, right?
A lot of moving parts.
The Time and Money Network is a board of directors, almost like a timeshare for a board of directors, where you get the best marketing guys, the best tax guys, the best recruiting guys, the best personal assistant, how to just get rid of all the arbitrary time out of the equation. And that's what we're creating here for the average guy.
The one-stop shop.
Sort of. You know, here's another problem that Time and Money Network's solving. Have you ever been through a training platform or learned a new subject in business?
Of course.
Okay. A metaphor would be WebMD, right? You're trying to diagnose yourself, right? So my elbow hurts. What could it be? And then just like business owners are going through all of this content, trying to figure out what piece of information is valuable.
Creating more problems often because you're like, oh, well, that checks my box there. I think I have that issue.
Right.
So maybe it's not that. Maybe it's these 5 other things.
Yeah, so when you go through a business training platform, and I think it's a really lazy way to teach, is they give you all these videos and all this content and leave it up to you to interpret the intensity or velocity of what's the most important thing, what's the next most important thing. So at the Time and Money Network, what we do is we ask you, what is your most pressing issue right now? And then that's what we solve. Can you imagine having your problems solved from experts who've already been there in a 15-minute session? You know, what you don't know that you don't know is the most dangerous information.
Wait, say that again?
Okay, I'm not going to... I say this every show.
You have to, though.
All right, there's 3 different types of information. What you know, we know that you're wearing a hat and I'm wearing a hat. What you don't know, we don't know how the show's going to go yet, right? And what you don't know that you don't know. That's the most dangerous information. So when you don't know something, you've been enlightened because previously you didn't even know that you didn't even know.
So how do you walk people through finding out what they don't know? So let's say somebody calls, wants some advice, because you're scheduling 10 or 15-minute consults.
At first. Sure.
And you get to talk with Jason.
Or one of our experts.
And figure out, what do I need to do to get my business from here, up here?
It could be that. It could be just these salespeople keep quitting on me. How do I keep salespeople? How do I motivate? Why am I paying so much in taxes? How do I get a personal assistant that won't quit? How do I stop overpaying people? How do I inspire people? What is your most pressing issue? And then whatever your issue is that would help you the most, we align you with an expert in that division, whether it's tax, marketing, recruiting. You want to sell your company, acquisition specialist, how to increase the value of your company. Whatever it is, that's what we're going to attack first, because you have a bunch of secondary problems that are caused by the primary issue. Now, instead of giving you a bunch of videos and books to try to figure out what is the most important sentence in these 1,000 sentences, why not just get the answer from the expert? That's what board of directors do, right? But a small business can't afford $1 million worth of bloated board of directors salaries. So that's what we made. The average small business can come in, buy a ticket to the show, and have the best experts in every division giving them advice in real time on the problems that they have right now.
So it's almost like a remote board of directors.
Correct.
One that you don't actually have to pay annually, reciprocity over and over and over. It can be a one-time thing. It can be, hey, this is a great thing to have. I want to continue through having this resource available to me today, tomorrow, next month, a year from now. Because sometimes, right, I think as business owners, we're a little risk adverse, right?
Some.
We're
too risky.
Yeah, we're not willing to pay or invest in ourselves or in our growth because we don't know if we're going to get return out of it.
Because we don't trust the situation. We
Right.
don't trust, is that information going to get me an ROI? And first of all, can you even measure the ROI? If you spend $10,000 on a product, how do you know you would have made $15,000 without it? What did it do for you? That's the biggest problem with people investing in themselves, I think.
So tell me a little bit, so for our listeners, so they can understand your background, your history, and maybe what makes you an expert in the field, or maybe connected to all of these people. How have you acquired the experts? How have you built up from the start to where, why would somebody call the Time and Money Network to see, hey, how can you help me?
That's a lot of content for me to answer. Okay, I'll start with the first thing. I'm still a student. You have to have that student mentality. So I love learning. I am an obsessive guy, a healthy obsessive guy. And when I get into something, I want to know everything I can possibly learn about the subject. The problem,
It's like you learning to play the guitar.
yes. And
You woke up one morning and said, I want to play the guitar, and
I want to be a rock star. I started tennis 4 years ago, and now I'm playing against college students. I'm just an obsessive guy. So now I am entering into the private equity space. I just find it fascinating because my history is real estate, and real estate's going to be problematic for the next 18 months. And every real estate rental property or flip is a business in itself, right? So a flip's more like a transactional business. You have to get in there, you have to operate the business, you have to exit the business. And a rental is more like subscription-based businesses where you're getting a return in the long term. The problem right now is rental properties are so competitive, they're only paying a 4 or 5% return if you play a perfect game. Well, if you buy a business at the right price and put an operator in there, you could make 30, 40, 50% return. So I thought, if you can flip a house, why can't you flip a business? So I started to really dig into that. And I think that a lot of small businesses out there don't understand that they have a valuable asset, their business itself, and it can be transformed into an incredible boost of their net worth on their balance sheet. And that was a lot of statement. But what was your original question?
yeah, just what makes you the expert, and what makes you so confident in the Time and Money Network and the partners you've picked? Like, are you just vetting people to partner with you based on a conversation, or are they the best in the business? And
well, here's my talent. My talent is recognizing talent. Nobody should learn anything from me unless you're doing exactly what I've done. But who has done everything? A board of directors. A board of directors, I can recognize the talented members of these boards, and it lets you access and pick their brain to specifically solve problems about your business. So nobody really should listen to me, but they should listen to the experts that we put together to solve their particular problem.
So big or small, doesn't matter, whatever a small business may be struggling with today, you think that there's going to be a ton of value for them to call up, have a conversation, and just see where we're at to start. Maybe it's a good fit, maybe it's not. I call that mutual permission to reject.
Yeah. Well, we have tons of products that you can mastermind groups. We have acquisition specialists. We can partner with your company if you need a certain division boost. But for now, we don't want to sell anything. We have nothing to sell you. We just want to talk for 15 minutes to figure out what is your senior problem? What is the number one problem that would have the most impact on your business? And how can we align you with an expert to help you move the needle? That's priority number one.
That's amazing. So aside from just small business owners, I think there's a lot of people who have the desire, right, to chase the American dream,
Sure.
to own a small business, maybe to own a large business. They just don't know where to start, where to jump in, and there are websites out there where you can, buy a business, but the average person doesn't know how to evaluate a business to even see, hey, is this something I should even waste my time on, my money?
Sure.
So how would you give advice to those people on what businesses that they should pursue? Is it based on risk level, based on how much cash they have? Can they start a business with no money?
Sure.
Like, what does that look like?
All of the above. Well, first let's talk about another reason Time and Money Network is different. In the karate platform, there's a belt system, correct?
Correct.
You can't teach brown belt stuff to the yellow belt, correct?
Right.
So if you're a business that's making $200,000 a year, you have a different set of problems than a $10 million business. So we have different levels. There's levels to these games that we're playing. So a lifestyle company, a dentist who has one little office has a whole new set of growth problems than a $10 million company that has 50 dental offices, right? So everything at the Time and Money Network is based on where you are and how to get you to the next belt. A lot of these trainings are trying to make you 4th degree black belt in jiu-jitsu in 1 month, and they're going to put piles of books on here and say, okay, go figure it out. That's a recipe for disaster. We take one step at a time. You're going to graduate to the next level. And when the next level comes, a new set of problems are going to come and a new set of experts are going to come in to help.
So what I love about Jason, and I've known him for a long time, is he's always playing 3 or 4 steps ahead of most people. And the way he looks at things is on that bigger scale. So it could be very valuable for a small business owner to come and say, hey, here's where I'm at today. And having a consultation with somebody at the Time and Money Network may help you pivot your business to going in a direction that you never even thought possible. That's the other beautiful thing that I see coming from, this mastermind group or, hanging out with the board of directors, is they may look at your laundromat business and say, well, the real estate in this location is worth way more than just putting coins into a machine. What if we pivot it to this? And so you're not only just a laundromat, but you're also a cell phone store or, pick your poison. Yeah. But being able to look at it from a 1,000-foot view versus what we can see right in front of us.
That's right. Every small business owner out there, and I'm looking directly at the camera here, you all know you had an aha moment at some point. Somebody gave you a piece of information for a 5-minute session that has changed the whole trajectory of your business. And that's what we're here to do. We're going to listen to your problems. We're going to analyze your problems. We're going to take all the dynamics and figure out what is the most cost-effective way you can move the needle and get to that next belt. Because problems never stop. They just get bigger. What did Biggie say?
More money,
more problems, right?
Right.
So, if you're a $10 million company and you're facing a $3 million tax bill, Well, why not self-invest and start buying equipment and depreciable assets and things that would save every dollar you spend at that tax bracket, you save 40 cents. And just an example is I find it difficult to take on investors because investors in a company, you still have the tax liability from the revenue, but you're giving away equity for their investment. Why wouldn't you self-fund? Because every dollar you spend on your company, you're going to save 40 cents in tax and not give away all of your equity. So in certain situations, you have to have the cash flow, of course, but self-funding your business can be dramatically different for your bottom line than taking on investors. I think a lot of people take on investors is because they want those board of directors. So they're going to give away 40% of their company to have one expert to tell them what to do.
Right. That's why people get so excited to go on a Shark Tank type situation, right? They don't really want the notoriety necessarily from being on the show. What they're paying for, what they're buying is that expert who has been there, done that before, and knows the problems that you are going to face today and the problems you're going to face in 90 days, the problems you're going to face in 9 years.
Yep. But most of the time, all they're doing is using their network and their connections. Well, at the Time and Money Network, you get to buy a board of directors instead of give away half your company for a board of directors. Huge difference.
Sounds amazing. And so you said something a little bit earlier where it kind of put this thought in my head where people tend to, small business owners, right, we tend to go to seminars or buy a book or find the quick way to fix things. And the truth is you never know what's going to hit, right? You may take a course and there may be a 5-minute session in a 5-day course that is life-changing for your business. And so I think it's important for us to take shots as business owners, not knowing if everything is going to be a home run, right? We could pay for every seminar in the world, read every business book, when the reality is if you were to just read one book and do exactly what that book says and perfect it for 10 years or 10,000 hours it takes to become a master, right?
Right.
If people were to do that, but we're not. We've got this shiny object syndrome.
Yep.
We're the squirrel. We're like, oh, this was harder than I thought it was going to be. I'm going to go find something easier.
Yep.
Well, the problem is nothing is easier. Everything just takes more time until you become an expert at something.
Yep. And I make jokes about that. I have a bookshelf full of books that I've never read. I just get inspired by the title. The 4-hour work week, okay, let me try to implement that. And it just makes you start thinking.
Right.
But imagine if you just took one book and I got rid of the 100 other books that I don't need, and I just studied and mastered every concept in just one book, you would almost be like the author. Again, since this is the Time and Money Network, I don't have the time to dedicate to mastering one book. I want to partner with the guy who owns the book.
So it's
The
shortcutting
expert, yes. We have no time for that. And plus, a lot of times you'll misinterpret what was said, and then you look at the business through your lens, and your lens is already broken in a lot of cases. See, I'm going to get metaphorical.
This is a famous couchism.
There's
by
a
the
couchism coming. Life is a game of decisions. Every decision you've ever made has landed you right in that seat right now. Because you said, yes, I'll start a show on the Time and Money Network, right? That was a decision. So wherever you are in life, whoever makes the best decisions wins. That's the game. It's just a
quicker.
Choose your own adventure book. Remember those
Right.
when you were a kid? I don't know if you're old
Absolutely,
enough.
yeah.
I love those books. I would cheat.
Turn to page 97
Yeah.
if you want to face the dragon.
That's right.
Yeah.
So every business owner out there, every day is in a choose your own adventure book. The decisions you're making today are going to affect you 6 months from now. Now you can try to sit underneath a tree with a cup of coffee and try to interpret information, or just go to the source. Join the Time and Money Network, get the expert who's been there for 20 years, and get his solution to your problem.
And that's the thing, right? There's a way to pull up your boots, right, and grind and find the answer. Or you could just cut a check, right, and save hours, thousands, hundreds of thousands of hours off of your life just by cutting that check. And so sometimes we got to look at it as say, well, is this investment worth it? And if it's going to get you farther, faster, quicker, I think history kind of shows the most successful business people are the ones who make quick decisions, who take the shortcuts, the necessary shortcuts, not in the way of doing business in a bad way, but just taking the advice and paying for the best guy in the room and the best guy available at this, those people tend to get a lot further faster. Would you agree?
Yeah. Again, those are decisions. Life is a game of decisions. And even if, you take a couple hickeys, you buy a training platform and it didn't do you any good, at least you know what to look for in the next training platform. There's always a lesson to be learned. Losing isn't losing, losing is lessons. And every business owner, and when I train salespeople, because sales is kind of my thing, I tell people I want you to go lose, because that is the only way you're ever going to learn. And
get to the no, right?
Get to the no. I mean, the more no's you take, the more yeses happen.
Yeah, the closer you get to that yes.
Right.
If statistically speaking, it takes 1,000 no's before you find that one yes, wouldn't you want to get through those 1,000 no's as fast as humanly possible?
Right. Well, here's couchism number 486, okay? We're all up against a wall, right? Imagine whatever you want is on the other side of this wall. Now, there's many ways around the wall. You can punch a hole in the wall until your knuckles bleed. That's a way. You'll get through. You can buy a shovel and you can dig under the wall. You can hire somebody to carry you over the wall. You can get really fancy and get a helicopter and fly over the wall. There's all these solutions to get to the other side of the wall. So what is your wall? Well, most people don't know what the wall is that they're up against.
They don't know what they don't know.
They don't. So imagine coming to the Time and Money Network and say, here's my wall. I'm trying to get to the other side. How would you get on the other side of the wall? But have somebody with 20 or 30 years of expertise say, if I was you, I would do X, Y, and Z. Well, that took 10 minutes, or you can go to a 20-hour seminar and fly to Vegas and network and drink and go to the blackjack tables and spend $8,000 to try to interpret which 5 minutes of the 2 days would be important to me.
And the expert is doing it through what you may perceive as the crystal ball, right? Because they've already done it.
Yep.
They spent 20 years in the same place 20 years ago that you were, and they found all the mistakes, the things that don't work, the things that are broken, that are a waste of time, and now they've streamlined it with 20 years, 15, whatever years experience, and now they can just tell you, oh, hey, if I was you today, this is a split decision I would make, and here's how I would go.
Yeah, and speaking of, we want to define things, and a lot of people are doing things in life that they have no idea what the definition is. Very often I ask salespeople, what is the definition of sales? And you can just watch them stumble and fumble and, well, it's giving a product and blah, 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 blah. I'm like, no, man, that ain't it.
There's got to be a simple answer to it.
Right. So let's do something interesting right now.
Okay.
What is the definition of experience?
I mean, I would say somebody who's been there, done that.
It's more than that.
Okay.
What's your definition of experience?
Experience would be, going through the grind, experiencing the experience.
Can't use the definition.
Can't use the definition of the word in the word. I don't know. Tell me what your definition.
All right. Well, I'm sure there's many definitions, but I think this will ring true for a lot of people. Experience, the couch definition of experience, is the ability to tell the difference between what appears to be real and what actually is.
That sounds a little bit like voodoo. Can you say that again?
Okay, the definition of experience to me is the ability to tell the difference between what appears to be real and what actually is. Let's take some examples in life. When you're in college, you're wide-eyed, the whole world's your fingertips, and you're like, okay, I'm going to go get a liberal arts degree because I think that will help me.
This may be dangerous.
Okay, well, it could, right?
Right.
But they don't know what they don't know. So when they go out in the real world, what appears to be real, they worked real hard in college and they got a liberal arts degree and they were valedictorian of nothing. What appeared to be real wasn't. But how many liberal arts majors right now, knowing what they know, would get in a DeLorean, go back in a time machine, and change their major?
I would say a good portion of them.
But why? Because they now, in present time, have the ability to tell the difference between what appeared to be real and what actually was.
Right, because that fantasy job that they had in their head when they were going through school, they realized that there's only 0.0001% of those jobs available, and those are already spoken for. And so now you're sitting here at the unemployment line saying, well, what am I going to do with this degree?
Right.
And ultimately, it's just a piece of paper on your wall now. So now you got to decide, am I going to go work at Walmart or retail, or, you know, how many people do you see in the service industry still that got their degrees?
Right.
And it's no knock against those people.
There's
They're
no
very
knock.
intelligent people. They just made maybe the wrong decision in the moment, not knowing what they didn't know.
That's right. So if you just think of that one moment that you would change in life, the reason you would change it is you now know what appeared to be real wasn't. You now have a new ability to tell the difference between what is real and what appears to be real.
So how do you avoid that mistake then?
You can't. You can go through life and just figure it out yourself by making mistakes, or you can hire an expert and say, here's my problem. What would you do with your ability to tell the difference between what is real and what isn't?
So you're the guidance counselor.
That's it. We're all guidance counselors. Look back in your dating scene, because you're married and happy and have lovely kids and all of that stuff. But when you were dating as a young man, what appeared to be real wasn't, was it?
Right.
Okay, and now if you think back and you can see stuff that you should have saw before, because you now can tell the difference between what appears to be real and what actually is.
Well, yeah, you hear the jokes, right? When you're young, you hear all the people make comments about married life and all this, and it just goes over your head or in one ear, out the other, because you're not looking to be married, right?
Right.
And so you don't look for those outliers about how things change and, you know, things get a little bit different. You get the kid, everybody's like, oh, I want to have kids. Well, what they don't realize is that those kids talk nonstop. They make the biggest mess out of everything. You know, they're great. I love my kids, don't get me wrong, but man, just some cases, it's just if I'd have known about this, I might have approached this a little bit different, right?
Yeah, all you married people out there, I'm sure that a lot of stuff wasn't in the brochure, was it? You're like, I should have read those terms and conditions, right? So I wouldn't change anything. I have a lovely wife and lovely kids, and so does you. But you know, what you thought you were getting into. I thought I was going to be vacationing with these little kids, and we're just like The Sound of Music. We're going to go through the hills. Everything was going to be great. Oh,
What's the reality?
oh my God, I don't even want to get into it.
I hear you.
The reality is you don't even want to go. That's the reality.
So bringing this back to the Time and Money Network, this is an example of someone who I would call an expert in the field of sales.
Yes.
So you can call up if your problem is something to do with sales, we got it covered. If your problem is something to do with recruiting, we've got somebody to introduce you to for that. If your problem is social media, network, getting your brand out there, we've got a solution for you for that.
Right, because guys, your problems are my problems. Your problems are my problems. I run several companies. So all of these problems I'm trying to solve, you're going to solve now or eventually need to solve. So every week, every month, we're gathering new experts that will be advisory councils on this board of directors. So I did this because I don't like wasted time or effort. So I want the answers now. So I started to recruit these folks. Like we have a tax firm out of Las Vegas that you can get hooked up with through our network that has hundreds of years of tax advice. Their tax return department is, the ideas they come up with, their audit risk is extremely low. They know exactly how to play the tax game. I'm not an expert. I can't tell you how to play the tax game, but I will put you in line with somebody who does. And that's the key. You can buy a board of directors at the Time of Money Network that will change the velocity of your life.
Sounds amazing.
Yeah.
I'm excited about that. So I just want to pivot here a little bit and just relax the conversation a little bit, get to know a little bit more about you.
Sure.
Have our audience be able to plug in and kind of get to know Jason Couch.
I'm boring.
A little bit, but there's also some exciting stuff in there too. So I just want to know, as a generality, like, what's the biggest regret as a business owner, an investor, that if you could put a pin in it right now, go back in that DeLorean, as you said, and change it, what's your biggest regret?
My biggest regret is going too fast. I've always ran before I walked. And I can tell you, I've been launching businesses since I was 20 years old. I've been in sales like since probably out of the womb. And I always was trying to look for the easy way out. Business is hard. It's the hardest thing you will ever try to do. That's why it's the most rewarding. I mean, take a look at money. Money is such a fascinating subject. It's the most valuable commodity on earth, right? So do people get divorced over money?
Absolutely.
Do people get killed over money?
Yep.
Are wars started and finished over money?
Yep.
Man, do you think it's going to be easy to get the most valuable commodity on earth?
Nope.
No. It is hard to run businesses. And secondary, inspiring and motivating people is probably the second hardest thing to do, which you can't grow a business without inspiring and motivating people.
I'm sure no small business owner can relate to having an employment issue or problem.
Right. Finding people that care about your business 2% as much as you do is hard.
Right.
It's all about them. WIFM, what does that stand for?
I don't know.
That's the radio station everybody tunes into. WIFM.
Oh, what's in it for me?
Bam. So everything you do in business has to be tuned to that radio station, right?
Absolutely.
So again, to comment on it, I thought everybody thought like me. So I would want this, so would this person, right? I want it fast. I want to be on a yacht tomorrow. It takes time.
And money.
And money. Nice, nice. It takes time and money. But there are shortcuts that are valid. And those shortcuts I've found here at the Time and Money Network by getting experts to eliminate the hours of investigation that you're about to go through.
Perfect. So last question for you before we wrap up today's show, our first inaugural show.
Wrap it up.
You're a musician, right?
Yeah.
You love to play the drums, the guitar.
Mm-hmm.
So if you got to pick one band, any era, to play one set on one epic night, who would that band
Van
be?
Halen.
Van Halen.
100%.
Awesome.
100%. Because my 1-year-old is named
Halen.
Halen. Shocker, right?
Right?
Yeah.
Awesome. Well, hey, thanks so much for being on the show today.
Yeah.
Really appreciate your time and your money.
What?
What?
Oh, yeah. My wallet's gone.
It is.
Oh, my God.
But we'll have you back on the show sometime in the future if you'll have us.
Yeah, and if anybody wants to start a relationship with the Time and Money Network, although I'm the best salesperson in the world, no selling will take place on a 15-minute consultation. Tell us your problems. We'll put you on the couch. We got therapy, whatever. We will figure out how to accelerate the solution to your senior problem in just 15 minutes.
So what's the website they can visit?
You can go to timemoneynetwork.com and just schedule a 15-minute get-to-know-you session. You put your email in. We'll schedule a call. We'll talk about stuff. We'll have fun. But you might find out something you didn't know that you didn't know. You might not know something, and then that will accelerate your business.
Awesome. Thanks again, Jason.
Absolutely. Thanks, Chad.
See ya.
Bye.